What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 27 of Breaking Bats, presented to you by Not For Long Media. I'm your host, Brian O'Grady. With me, as always, my co-host, Justin Ayers. JA, wow, what a end of the week it was in the baseball world. Um, but before we get to that stuff, how you doing, man? What's going on?
I'm great, man. Yeah, you're right. It's been a busy weekend. We're taping this on Monday. Obviously, we're gonna get into the baseball news off the top, but just a very it's a weird time in the sport, I think. And also, it's just a weird time to receive the news. It was on Friday night, and I was going to go see the new Brad Pitt Bullet Train movie, and I got a text from one of the guys that we work with here at Not For Long Media, and he's like, "Tatis, OMG," and I'm like, "What happened?" That's you never want to get a text like that, and I had to Google it, and I'm like, yep, there's Jeff Passan's tweet about it. So a lot. We're gonna get into the Tatis stuff. We have a couple very good top fives at the end, and some really fun stuff in the middle there. So yeah, dude, I can imagine it, you knowing him. It's gonna be interesting to talk about.
Yeah, definitely was a weird thing for me to wake up to here in Japan. I had a bunch of text messages and I'm like, well, what is going on? But we will get into all that. And man, great interview this week, too, to throw this in there with World Series champ Matt Adams. Man, what a great dude. Great stories. Just I had a ton of fun talking to him about everything. So definitely want to hang around and listen for the interview at the end of all this. But man, he was one of my favorites for sure to talk to. We've actually talked a little bit since we recorded that too, man, about hitting and stuff. And he hit, I think it was yesterday or the day before, he hit an absolute bomb
Yes.
at like his eyeballs. And I was like, dude,
How?
how do you even do that? Like as a lefty too, I'm like, how do you hit that ball? It was so great swing, fired me up. But yeah, Matt Adams interview, phenomenal.
Yeah, as a Nationals fan, it was everything I could have hoped for and more. Just like the 2019 National stories that we got to hear from Matt, just like the Gerardo Parra coming in on a scooter in the clubhouse, the baby shark, just what it felt like when Daniel Hudson closed the door in the ninth and they walked away World Series champion back in Houston. So it's a great conversation. And you're right, there's some other really cool like nuggets in there too. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for that. But before we get to all of that, this episode is brought to you by our friends over at Som Sleep. So, are you having trouble getting enough sleep at night? If you're watching on YouTube and you see the bags under my eyes, you know that I am. Som Sleep has this all covered, though. The scientifically advanced Som snack includes ingredients that are naturally found in your body, like GABA, magnesium, and melatonin. Sleep is the best form of recovery, and it has helped people everywhere take their games to the next level. It's simple. All you have to do is drink one serving just 30 minutes before bed, and your body will naturally calm itself down. Other sleep supplements leave you feeling groggy in the morning, not Som Sleep. Wake up feeling refreshed and ready to conquer your day. So, what you're going to do is go to getsom.com. You're going to click shop and enter the code BATS. That's BATS at checkout for 10% your entire order of Som Sleep. All right, we talked about it. It's time. Fernando Tatis Jr. Was suspended for 80 games on Friday after he tested positive for a PED called clostebol. Tatis put out a statement through the MLBPA that said he, quote, inadvertently took that PED to treat ringworm. However, clostebol is an anabolic steroid, and it's never prescribed to treat ringworm. The drug that is prescribed to treat ringworm is a few letters off of that, and it's called clobetasol. So that was a fun time on Twitter over the weekend where people were trying to figure out what was happening. So, like I said, 80 games. It started last Friday. It's going to go through the rest of the 48 regular season games. How long it goes into 2023 will all depend on how deep the Padres go into the postseason, if they indeed do get there. So, Brian obviously played in San Diego last year. He knows Fernando personally. So, Brian, I'm just going to kind of step back and give you the floor here.
Oh, geez. I told you this before. I've been thinking about this since it happened because obviously we have to talk about it. And I have so much and also just don't even know what I want to say at the same time. Um, First, you know, I from just a fans, like as a fan, a baseball fan and a bit of a Padres fan, because I know most of those guys. It sucks because I wanted to see that lineup together, man. That was going to be electric. And, the showdowns with the Dodgers and the Mets, I think we're going to be great too. With that being said, I just want to say that the Padres still have a great team and have a legitimate opportunity to still be in the playoffs and win a World Series. Obviously it helps to have a player like Tatis to do that, but like they've said in the interviews since it's happened, they haven't had them all year, and they're where they're at now. And they added Juan Soto and those guys late to that stuff, so they're still a very viable team, can still win. So from the fans' perspective, as a fan, and from the fans' perspective, it sucks that he's not going to be there. The timing of it sucked. I feel like it made it suck more too, because he was finally playing again. He was in his rehab assignment. He just hit a double and a triple or whatever. Like, there was video. You could see he was on his way back. And oh, we're only a week away from having everything together. And then bam, this comes down and that's gone. So that, I'm sure, made it tough too. For God, as a player, everybody, before his statement even came out, I was seeing things on Twitter and stuff from baseball people or whatever, just saying, oh, where's the classic statement saying I didn't know what I was taking, or inadvertently took something, like classic. And of course, then it came, and it's his dad came out this morning saying the same, talking about getting a haircut and getting ringworm, and that's where it came from. And in the Dominican, they have different, medicine over the counter or whatever than we do here. So let's telling the truth. And that is what happened. Well, that sucks, but also as players, there's no excuse to not know what's going in your body. I have all my supplements sitting right here. They're called Clean Athlete. And in the MLB, what you need to use is NSF certified. Any supplement you take needs to be NSF certified. So that's all in Japan. It's the Olympic stuff. It's WADA. So World Anti-Doping Agency, which I think the MLB's Act might even be stricter than that. But so I take all that. That's the only stuff I take. If you get any medicine that is not from Padres doctors or team doctors, you need to get it checked with them. And maybe he might say it's during a lockout and I couldn't talk. I think they probably would have been able to talk, if something serious like that was going on. You gotta, the end of the day, as a player, it's your responsibility to know what is going in your body. Can't get around it. That's assuming he's telling the truth with his story, which I know a lot of people don't believe. Assuming he's lying and he's not, that story is BS. My guess would be that he was doing it to get back on the field faster. I don't think he was doing it to try to be a better player or get something more. He's obviously a fantastic player. And his game, he's not small, but he's not this gigantic like steroid power hitter like guys back in the day were or something either. He's a really good athlete. He's really like long and uses his long levers to whip the bat and things like that, and that's where he kind of gets his power from. So I don't think that was what he was doing. I think it would be that he obviously messed up with the motorcycle stuff in the beginning and was mad about it and was trying to get back on the field, which I understand, but obviously you can't do it. And that's all there is to it. And, from knowing him personally, I met him, like I said before, in 2018 in winter ball before he made his debut. His dad was our manager in the DR, and he was coming back from, I think, a thumb injury. I think he hurt his thumb like sliding in Double-A that year, and he was going to play. And I was just gotten down there, and I was getting back into, getting ready to play in the next couple of days. So it was really just me and him in the beginning, like taking batting practice and stuff together. And I mean, he was crushing balls. I knew right then he was really good, but he's always been nothing but good to me, nice to me, very personable, very friendly. Like, so I don't have anything bad to say about him as a human being. I know it's kind of funny, it's kind of sad, and it's maybe true when things like this happen. You start seeing the things come out about how people are. People, anonymous sources saying that he does whatever he wanted, didn't listen to people and things like that. And maybe that's true. Maybe people are just pissed and they're just throwing it on, or now maybe people think that because of what has just happened. Who knows? But like I said to you before, I don't want to just keep talking for 45 minutes about this and just ramble on. So, what do you got to add to any of that? / what questions do you have so I can try to narrow the focus a little bit more at a time and not just babble for 50 minutes about the 10 different topics that I have in my head about this?
All good. I mean, that was fantastic. I wanted to kind of take us down Mike Clevinger, so his teammate in San Diego. His quote, and I just really feel like the overall sentiment of every one of the Padres players' quotes about Tatis was all kind of the same, but I like Clevinger's the most. Clevinger said, quote, "This is the second time we've been very disappointed with him. You hope he grows up and learns from this and learns it's about more than just him right now. It would be nice to have somebody else, but we don't need anybody else. We've got everybody we need right here." And I think that statement goes a long way to kind of show, what kind of the vibe of the locker room and vibe of the clubhouse is, where it's like, yeah, it would be different if Tatis was there all year mashing balls and then this kind of, sprung up just now. Like, I feel like that would be way different. But Ha-Sung Kim, I mean, this guy has been very under the radar good for the Padres this year. These stats are a little bit, I think they're 2 or 3 days old, but they just kind of go to, prove my point here. And Ha-Sung Kim's last 34 games, he was batting 306. And with runners in scoring position this season, he's batting 301. And with runners in scoring position and 2 outs this year, he's batting 325. So timely hits, clutch hits, Ha-Sung Kim, Gold Glove caliber defense too. So, but to take it back to Clevinger and just like the statements that we were reading over the weekend, did those kind of stand out to you? And would you kind of feel the same if you had a microphone stuck in your face about this?
First, Ha-Sung Kim is awesome. You could tell he could hit. So now it's definitely an adjustment. Listen, especially for the KBO. The KBO pitching is not close to major league pitching. It's not at all. So hitting there is way different than it is in the major leagues. And Kim just got thrown right into it. So he's making those adjustments now, which is great because he's definitely talented. And defensively, he's phenomenal. He was phenomenal last year. There's no doubt about that. So if nothing else, with him as your shortstop, you're going to get decent at bats at least. Obviously, you just said it's been getting even better, getting really good at bats. But you're going to get awesome defense at shortstop, which is probably most important there. yes, the vibes in the clubhouse, the quotes definitely um, weren't shocking. I will say slightly surprising in that everybody was just so direct about it. Like there was no beating around the bush or trying to kind of soften it. They were just those dudes were they were totally honest and good for them. But I think it you have a certain your level of responsibility to your teammates and the guys in that clubhouse, no matter who you are. But when you're somebody like Tatis and somebody with that type of contract, there's higher expectations and higher responsibilities that come with it. Those guys in there, excuse me, they expect you to be out there and expect you to be helping them win games to try to win a World Series. So obviously, this offseason, the motorcycle stuff, and he's been missing since then. I'm sure people were not very happy about that, and we're disappointed in that. And even though they may have not have said that as publicly, I'm sure the feeling was there. What are you doing? You can't be doing. You got to be smarter than that. We're trying to win a World Series, and you're one of the biggest parts of that. We need you, and you're making bad decisions like that. Now you do that on top of it, and yeah, guys, that trust is just not going to be there because when you're in a locker room like that and you're with a team working for that goal, you have to be accountable, and other guys are gonna hold you accountable because they want to win. They know they have the talent to win, and they don't want to waste their time. They might. You never know how many opportunities you're going to get to be on a really good team. It might be your whole career if you're lucky. It might be 1 year. It might never happen for some guys. So those dudes in there are definitely disappointed because they know what he can bring to the table. They're also mad that they have to answer questions about whatever he's doing instead of what they've been busting their asses for all season when he hasn't been there either. And they're saying that, making that pretty obvious that he hasn't been there and that they've been doing this without him anyway. And you just lose trust. Now it's like, can we count on you? Can we count on you to be there, to be on the field? Can we count on you to make these plays, whatever it is? Now all those guys don't know the answer to that question. So it's definitely frustrating as a teammate. I think more than anything, probably having to talk about it is what's going to bother them the most. But they know that they have a good team and that they can compete and win big games. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. But I was slightly surprised with how direct the answers were from everybody, Preller to the teammates, and just kind of the total vibe. I guess it sounded like they were fed up, like they were hit that point.
I would agree. You mentioned GAM AJ Preller. His statement was probably a little bit even more sharp than some of the guys in like the team itself. One line that I loved from Preller's statement, he said, quote, "We are hoping that from the offseason to now there will be some maturity. And obviously with the news today, it's more of a pattern and it's something we have to dig a little bit more into." So, a very uncertain future. I mean, obviously he's still going to be with the Padres, but a very uncertain future when it comes to Tatis is standing in the locker room. I think there's some trust, obviously, like you mentioned, that has to be rebuilt there. In terms of the pecking order, like you thought of him and Machado last year of like these guys, like I think Tatis led all of, was it the NL in home runs last year? He had 42. So, him, Machado, you're like, oh my gosh, this is like the best, side of the infield in baseball. But now it's like, well, so these guys, he's going to enter the clubhouse next year whenever he does, because the 80 games will carry into next year. And it's probably gonna be a little uncomfortable for a while. So I think we summed that up pretty well. Anything else? I have a couple other news things.
Yeah, a couple last quick things. One, Preller, he basically was the one who gave him that contract. Obviously, the owners have to sign off on something like that. But Preller now, it doesn't look stupid, but some of that blows back on him, that these things have happened, and why you lose that trust on the guy who gave you all that, and it kind of looks bad on him, even though obviously it's not Preller's fault about it, but understandably so, he's going to be very angry about it. Whether he says that in public or if it's just behind closed doors, he's obviously very, very angry about it. And his whole vision for the team included Tatis, obviously. So now that's not there. That's one. Two is I think not right now. I think next year or whenever, right before, whether it's spring training or if it's right before he comes back, he's going to have to do a press conference and talk about it all. And whatever the truth is, say the truth. And on top of that, and probably more importantly than that, he's got to face his teammates in that clubhouse and apologize and say whatever it is that he's going to say, which I'm sure will happen. Yeah. Otherwise, that's to start to repair those relationships. That's, as teammates, that's what he has to do. 3, man, his legacy, he's was on his way to being an all-time type player and was really baseball. I mean, I just saw it last night, Gatorade commercial with him on TV. He was baseball's like young marketing star that they were putting out there, and he had all those endorsements and stuff like that. And how is all of this going to affect that? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's going to. But aside from the endorsements and stuff, does MLB stop pushing him as hard when he comes back? Probably, at least for a while, I would think. I don't think they're just going to come back and all of a sudden be plastering him everywhere. So those are my final thoughts on it, but it's a crazy situation. It's sad. Oh, no, 4. I said this to you before we started filming too. See a lot of people saying, trade him, give up on him, whatever. We're enabling him. He comes back next year and he hits 25 homers and they're in the playoffs and then they're trying to go to the World Series. I don't think anybody's going to be saying that. There's other classic. I know he's the highest profile case in a long time, but there's other examples right now going on of people forgetting or not caring about things that have happened in the past for players. So, you can be mad and frustrated and disappointed in all those things, but at the end of the day, he comes back and he plays well. I think fans are going to forget about it. Players, I think that stigma is tough to get rid of. Players don't love other players who fail tests, and that's all there is to it. But yeah, man, crazy story. I could do 3 full episodes on all this, I think. So let's we'll just leave it there and we'll move on.
All very great points made by you there. So the other big baseball news that I had was, it was kind of shocking a little bit. The Rangers fired their manager, Chris Woodward. So the Rangers are currently 51-63. They're 23 games out of first place in the AL West. And in Woodward's time there, he's 211 and 287 was his career record in Texas. But I remember because it was right around the time Nathaniel Lowe came on, and that was when the Rangers were on this uptick where they on June 1st they were at 500, and then since then it's obviously been downhill. But yeah, it's just been a weird season for Texas. They go out and they spend $500 million on Seager and Simeon, and they have this horrific record in one-run games, which I'm sure is kind of the reason why Woodward got the axe. Now they're 6-24 in one-run games this year, so that might be mostly the manager's fault. That's not pulling the right strings. That's not playing the matchups correctly. But yeah, what did you think about when you heard Chris Woodward getting the axe today?
Yeah, I didn't even know until you told me. That's the beauty of waking up in Japan. But I think you just said it. The one run games definitely is gonna get some blame, whether that's true or just bad luck. But I think at the end of the day, they believed they were going to take a good step forward this year. And I don't think whatever the front office or ownership vision has been playing out. So like you said, or like I've said before, you can't fire the whole team, especially when you pay two guys that much money, and Seager and Simeon. So, as a manager, the blame falls on you. So, and I think, poor Joe Girardi, man. Not poor Joe Girardi, but Joe Girardi. The Phillies give him the axe. Thompson takes over, and they've been nails since then. So I feel like other teams are like, well, maybe it'll work. Maybe we can turn this around or something. So that might have hurt Woodward a little bit too there.
I mean, I think, so third base coach Tony Beasley is going to be the interim manager. I can't wait for the storyline in the next week when the Rangers rip off like 5 straight wins or whatever. Like, that's just what's going to happen. It's like a break glass in case of emergency. It's like a guarantee. Manager gets fired, team rallies, and they pull off this incredible winning streak. So that'll be fun to keep track of. But yeah, it's like everything I've read too is that like the GM was kind of like, we want to get this thing going with an eye towards 2023 because this is a team that does kind of aim to be competitive sooner rather than later. They, like, obviously Seager and Simeon, but they have a great young pitching staff, all these great young pitchers they've drafted within the last couple years. So and obviously anchored at first base by the GOAT Nathaniel Lowe. So they have a very solid roster there. So I feel like once they get somebody in there pulling the right strings, they'll be right back in it with Houston in the AL West because I feel like that's a division that's, but outside of Houston, I mean, Seattle's good, but LA and, Oakland, I think Texas could be right back in there. So
I agree. I agree with you. Yeah, they definitely have a solid roster, and I don't think Chris Young's the GM there now, who was a pitcher for a long time, and I don't think he hired Woodward. So he could have been part of the front office there, but he might want to kind of find somebody else that might align with his vision or his thoughts more, or philosophy, whatever. So I guess we shall see.
Yeah, that might have been like a John Daniels like kind of thing. I feel like that might have been his kind of move, but yeah, I think baseball is better when Texas is good. I think back to those early 2010 teams. I was a big Rangers fan. Michael Young was one of my favorite players growing up. So when the Rangers are good, baseball is good. That's what I always say.
Those teams were awesome.
Yes.
That's what I always say. Yes, those teams were awesome. The hitters, man, they had some hitters. I love watching them.
It's like the tweet where it's like guys could literally just sit around and name like old like players on sports, whatever. Like Hank Blaylock.
Blaylock, man.
Hank Blaylock, Michael Young. Salta Lamacchia. Oh, those teams.
Dude. Nelson Cruz, Adrian Beltre, Josh Hamilton. I mean, they had some hitters. No doubt about it.
No pitching. No.
Elvis Andrus, dude. That World Series was one of the best World Series. I mean, I'll never forget watching that World Series and the Cardinals.
Yes.
Ever.
Yeah, I mean, damn it. Now I'm getting nostalgic. I really like those Rangers teams.
They were good teams.
Yeah.
Cliff Lee, they were great, dude. They really were.
Last thing on Woodward, my lasting memory of Chris Woodward was when he got really like deeply pissed off when Fernando Tatis callback. Well, in 2020 when he had a home run on the 3-0 pitch when they were winning 10-3, and then he was talking about how he didn't like it personally, and just like the rules of baseball. People forget that was a thing. So that's my lasting impression of Chris Woodward is don't swing at 3-0 pitches around him because he'll run you into the ground. Anywho.
Oh man.
All right. We have 3 last things. We have a really cool Fudge-ing Awesome Moment of the week that I think literally just happened hours before we recorded this.
Yeah, our fudging moment. Excuse me, I'm coughing. Our Fudge-ing Awesome Moment of the week, brought to you by the original Fudge Kitchen. You can find them at thefudgekitchens.com with an S, shipping sweet treats and fudge all over the country. Man, the best. I gotta like unfollow on Instagram because it's gonna drive me crazy every time I see their post. It looks so good. Philly, Jersey Shore listeners, summer's winding down. As you're leaving the old shore, go check them out in Wildwood, North Wildwood, Ocean City, Stone Harbor, and Cape May. That is the original Fudge Kitchen. They ship all over the country. Our California listeners, you can have the great fudge too. Go to fudgekitchens.com and check them out.
So this is also Padres related, so it's very Padres heavy today. So the Padres are down in Miami right now playing the Marlins, and there's a fan who wanted to trade with Mike Clevinger. He's like, what can I do to get a ball? So Mike Clevinger gave the guy a ball, and then the guy ran over and he grabbed a can of Corona, and then Clevinger came back and they exchanged. So it was a 1-for-1 trade, ball for beer. They tossed it over the outfield fence there. And I just think, just guys being dudes, just straight up, I'll take a beer for it. I thought that was really cool. And that's what I'm going to use as our awesome moment of the week. Would you do that? Would a fan, would a fan trade be something on the table for you?
I would trade with a fan for sure. I don't know if I'd go beer. I think Clev can probably pull that off better than I could, but I would definitely trade with a fan for, maybe a hot dog, something like that. I would definitely get a nice ballpark dog or something along those lines instead of the beer, maybe. But hey, I respect it, no doubt.
Has there ever been I've seen clips of maybe it was like Miguel Cabrera where ate some fans popcorn, and you see guys kind of steal stuff, or has your interactions with the fans out in left or first or whatever, has that ever just been has it just been words exchange, or have you actually maybe some goods?
I think it's just been words. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever not in the major leagues at least, maybe in the minor leagues along somewhere. But I talked to the fans in San Diego and right field a lot for sure. That was always fun. But I don't think I've had that type of interaction in the major leagues. In Japan, we're kind of like the fans at the game is like a no. It's like a force field. It's like no. I think since COVID became a thing, they're like, it's just we don't even throw balls into the stands. We're not supposed to.
Really?
Yep.
Along the same lines of just don't, they can cheer, but don't physically talk or exchange balls with them. Dang.
Yeah, they can't do their chants and singing or whatever still, and I don't know. I'm not sure about the exact reason for the ball thing. It could be because people go crazy for balls, maybe. I don't really know, but I just know that I was told to, you throw it to the ball boy. You don't give it the old toss into the stands.
The grown adult love for baseballs is something that I will never understand, because I see it. I go to all these games and they flip the balls up over the nets and stuff, and adults in their 40s, 50s, whatever, doesn't matter. They're dropping elbows, they're scrambling for them. You can go to Dick's Sporting Goods and get an official baseball for $10. So I don't know what it is about people, especially adults that don't give the ball to a kid. But that just drives me up a wall. Did you ever toss a ball to somebody intending for a kid, and then just a dude in his 40s grab it?
I can't think off the top of my head, but I'm sure it has. We definitely see that a lot. And, players most of the time are trying to throw the ball to a kid. You're not trying to throw it to an adult. I mean, they do. There's times where you just toss it up there, but most of the time, I feel like you see a kid and you're trying to give it to them. But you're right. I don't know. A lot of people go a little too crazy for it. If it's coming right at you or right next to you, I mean, obviously you try to catch it, whatever. But yeah, definitely seen some people go a little bit out of their way for some baseballs, no doubt.
Yeah, it's an epidemic in this country, so we really need to figure it out. I don't know what we as a society have come to be that pushing kids out of the way for a baseball. But I don't know. Maybe it's just something we got to work on. Okay, yeah, it's a $10 baseball. Anywho, all right. Next up for you guys. So we did this last week, was the inaugural one, and this is something that we're going to continue to do each week here on Breaking Bats. This is the Not For Long Media Top 5. So each week across all Not For Long Media podcasts, starting with the Colin Thompson Show, which I do every Sunday with Colin and Jack, and expanded across the whole podcast network, we're going to be ranking things, and we're going to have like a big group graphic made. So last week we did chicken wing flavors. This week, kind of in that same vein of flavors, we're going to do Gatorade flavors. So the top 5 Gatorade flavors. And Brian, I'm going to let you start because as an athlete for many years, you've drank in many a Gatorade in your day. So the floor is yours.
I'm gonna start by saying there was nothing better than being a kid, getting done, whatever practice it was, and having a nice the twist, the twist top Gatorade,
yep,
chugging that afterwards. Oh, the nostalgia is real. But number 5, I'm gonna start with, and this is funny because I don't even know how to two of these flavors on here. I don't even know how to honestly explain them. They're just what they are to me. Like, I don't know. So number 5 is Riptide Rush. It's purple.
Oh.
And I don't really know what flavor it is, but I love it. So that's number 5. It's Riptide Rush. That's what it is. Number 4, another purple. It's Fierce Grape. Just an intense grape flavor. Love it. Number 3 will be Glacier Cherry. A little more intense flavor there too. Love the cherry. But 2 and 1 are really what separate, in my own personal opinion here. I know I showed you earlier. I have your favorite right next to me, but it's not one of my top 2. So you can have it. I do enjoy it, but it's not one of these 2. Number 2 is Cool Blue, which would be the go-to with the twist off there. Cool Blue, love it. I'm a little more. I like the real sugary ones. I don't like the rain or any of that stuff. And at number 1, a little bit of an obscure one, is X Factor Lemon, Lime, and Strawberry. I don't even know if they make it anymore. I don't remember the last time I had it, but Google it. It's there. It's real. And if you ever get a chance to drink it, it is by far the best one.
I've never heard of X Factor. I thought you were talking about the singing show for a minute. Yes. See, I feel like an idiot because the official names as Brian's holding it up. Head on to the Breaking Bats YouTube channel to see what he's holding up. I feel like
come find us.
Yes, please sponsor the pod. I feel like a child because I know you have the official government names of these Gatorade flavors. You're calling it
colors.
Yeah, you're calling it Marshall Mathers, and I'm just I like M&M. You got these people's legal names for these flavors. I just know the colors, so
yellow, orange, red. Nice.
Yep. So I think I'm gonna do my best to try to provide a great description of what these are. But so number 5 for me, I know it as dark blue, but I guess it's cool blue. The twist,
dark
the squeeze twist bottle, whatever. Those are pretty good. That's number 5. Number 4, I like strawberry. So kind of the lighter shade of red there if you're going by the color scale. It's, I don't know, just pretty good. It was okay. Number 3 though, 2, 3, and 1, those are my favorites. So number 3, I have Fruit Punch, the red one. Colin was vehemently against this one, I feel like, on his one yesterday. I don't know why. It's a classic. Number 2, I have Orange. I think that might be the technical name for it too. I think it's just called Orange.
I think it is. Yep.
I love it. There's nothing better than a good giant orange one. And then number 1 is Brian held it up a second ago. It's Glacier Freeze, or as I call it, light blue. My love affair with this started when you're sick as a kid and you tell your mom to go to the grocery store and please get as many light blue Gatorades as you can get. I used to get the ones with the handle that came in like the jug. Put those in the back of the refrigerator. I love it. There's really no competition here. Brian had American Idol as his number one flavor of Gatorade. That's fine, but light blue is the clear number one, in my opinion.
I appreciate your color scale and that you just call it the colors, because that is definitely one way to do it.
Riptide Rush. I don't know what that is. Gun to my head. I'm
purple.
like, what are you talking
Light
about?
purple.
Look, yeah. Okay,
light
please.
purple.
I think the majority of our audience will know the Gatorades as the colors. So,
I agree. But, I will see Colin. I can probably understand where Colin's coming from, because I feel like college may have slightly ruined a few of those colors / flavors you just named for me. So
overexposure.
Those won't be in my top 5.
He loves lemon lime. Not a fan. That's the ones you get like the stirred and the big things. Yep, not doing that.
I can still do lemon lime. I think that's like a nostalgia thing too, because it's like I feel like that's like the original one. But the all those, dude, I think college ruined those basic flavors for me.
Yeah, now you're going off the rails and picking ones that don't even exist anymore. So head on over to Not For Long Media's page on Instagram, I think Twitter too, and check out our Not For Long Media top 5. Last but not least, this week we're gonna do the Breaking Bats top 5. But first we have to clean up last week. We did top 5 best nicknames in baseball history, and your boy Justin won. 53 to 47. Head on over to the Breaking Bats pod on Instagram each Friday to vote in our poll. So our record, we both are now 3-1 on the season. So we have that one tie in there, but it's been fun to keep track. Look, I took off the one that I beat you in with the Juan Soto trade destination. So that one doesn't count. That one doesn't exist. So now we're 3-1.
I got to go back and look. I think you're just making this shit up.
It's all part of my master plan. I'm just going to gaslight you into thinking that you're losing every week.
Exactly. That's exactly what's happening here. I know.
I feel good about this week's, though. In honor of Edwin Diaz's closer entrance with the trumpets. I think it's called Narco. It went viral, super mega viral. So in honor of that, this week we're going to be doing the top 5 closer entrances of all time. So I will start us out with number 5, and I have the shirt on today in honor of that. Again, head on over to the Breaking Bats YouTube channel. Check out what I'm talking about. Number 5, Zach Britton. He came out to For Those About to Rock by AC/DC. So I was telling Brian before this, when the Orioles from 2012 to 2016, they had the most wins in the American League. And a large part of that was because Zach Britton was shutting the door. I was there for a lot of those games as a partial season ticket holder for many years there. So the 30 times a year I go to the Orioles games, Zach Britton comes in, the stadium lights flicker For Those About to Rock's playing. Can't beat that. So that's number 5. Number 4, it's going to be Edwin Diaz. It's going to be Narco Trumpets. I think it's good. I don't think it's as great as people are talking about, but I do think it's worthy of being on a top 5. Number 3, old school Trevor Hoffman, Hell's Bells. Those old entrance clips, you can find those on YouTube of Hoffman coming in. Those are awesome. Number 2, I'm going with the Yinzer, David Bednar, and Renegade by the Sticks. Had to be in there. I think I talked about this last week. If you're a Steelers fan, you love this already, but Bednar coming out to that, you just crack an icy light and watch Bednar shut the door. That's all you got to do when you hear Renegade by the Sticks playing. And last but not least, number 1, I have Mariano Rivera's Enter Sandman. I mean, that's greatest closer of all time, greatest closer entrance of all time, Metallica. So that is my 5 through 1.
Those are good ones. Can't argue with them at all. Before I get started on mine, I just want to say to the MLB, you don't need all these rule changes and stuff to make the game better. You see how they followed Diaz in for that entrance? That shit is electric. That's what we need. We need more things like that. You see how much people like that, and now it's this gigantic thing. You just got to market better and use those cameras better, man. That stuff is awesome, and people are going to love it. So Side note there. Sorry. My top five. I'm gonna take my honorable mention and put him in there, and I'm gonna take Edwin Diaz out because we're just doing this because of Edwin Diaz. For the record, I love the Edwin Diaz thing. I think it's awesome. I think it fits him perfectly, and he's been unbelievable. So number five for me is going to be my teammate last year, Mark Melancon, Thunderstruck coming out for the Padres. It was phenomenal. They got the flames going out there. Mark the Shark's the best. Hilarious too. So he's number five for me. Number four is going to be Eric Gagne. Welcome to the Jungle. Man, he was unbelievable. I think people forget how good he was for that stretch there in LA, man. He was about as lights out as it has ever gotten. So he's number four. Number three, and he's made it known recently that he believes he's one of the best walkouts ever. Jonathan Papelbon shipping up to Boston with the Red Sox. I mean, it just fit like the whole thing. It's just so perfect. It's great. So he's number three. Number two, Trevor Hoffman, Hell's Bells. I know Hoffy. He is the most laid back surfer guy you could ever meet. But man, was he dominant, and was that entrance just the bell start, dude? Yeah, you're like, fuck, here we go. Gotta face this shit now. Awesome. He's number two. Again, number one. Yeah, I mean, it has to be Mariano Rivera, Enter Sandman. That guy threw basically one pitch for his entire career, and really no one could hit it still. And him coming in to close the game, and you hear that guitar riff start playing, Metallica. It's as much as you don't want to admit it, you're like, shit, this is it. It's happening. We don't really have a chance here, but here we go. Let's try. So Rivera, I mean, I feel like that's the one everybody would go to, right?
Iconic. How many of these songs that we named today could you play on guitar? Because you're an axe man yourself, according to your Topps baseball card.
1, 2. I could Enter Sandman, Hell's Bells, Thunderstruck, Welcome to probably 4 of mine. I never learned Renegade. I could probably play Renegade too. I'm not saying the entirety of the songs. Some of those solos are pretty legit there, but at least the riffs that people would know, yeah, I could knock them out.
Thunderstruck's like, that's fast as shit. That's probably most
Thunderstruck
impressive.
was a good one. That was one of my favorite ones to play. Yeah, it's not easy, but I did it. I wanted to learn it so bad. I did it so much that I got it down back in the day.
You got to take Woods up on his offer to have a jam sesh.
I just talked to Woodsy the other day. Yeah, we might, if we ever back in San Diego, we might have to do it. They're doing great. They're hanging in there.
His catcher picture the other day was very, very funny.
Oh, dude, oh my God, that was great. I was cracking up the day.
Full uniform.
Dude, this is why I love Twitter. I don't know. I think it was just somebody on Twitter. I don't think it was like Ben and Woods or anything like that, but they put that picture, like photoshopped it into, a mound visit, and he's like on the side standing like that. And I think it was like Tatis and like the pitcher talking like just next to him, and he's just like standing there in the catcher's, dude. I was cracking up at it. It was whoever did that, bravo. That was quality Photoshop and Twitter right there.
That's fantastic. We need to get them back on. I would love to hear their takes on this stuff.
I know. I'll talk to them. We really do, because you didn't get to meet them, man. That was the first one. I did it by myself.
Yeah. And I listen to their show, like when Adam Jones is on, obviously when you're on, and even when they don't have guests, I just really love their show. So I listen to that with I think it's the Audacity app or whatever, but yeah, I'm a big fan. So we need to work on that.
That's so fun. Dude, that feels like it was so long ago. That was just no interview or no intro, just me and Ben and Woods just rolling right into it. That was wow, good times. But our like I said, our interview for this week, 2019 World Series champion and MLB veteran Matt Adams. Great idea by you. I'll give you credit for this one. And man, like I said earlier, turned out to be one of my favorite interviews. Just an awesome guy, funny dude, great stories. Still playing, still doing it, talking about everything. And it was cool to hear. I'm sure it was really cool for you as a Nats fan, but to hear that, that somebody on that team, the turnaround and just everything that happened was really cool.
Yeah, I mean he was one of my favorite players when he was on the Nationals. Just like his dugout dancing, his home runs that were always seeming to be 500 feet, and just watch him in the parade. Like I remember because I was in the parade in DC when they won it. I remember a fan threw like a full Bud Light at him, and he caught it with one hand, and he just cracked it and dumped it all over himself. I'm like, this guy is the best. So, like Brian said, just a fantastic interview. And Nationals fans, Cardinals fans, we covered a lot. Yeah, it's gonna be a great one.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of Cardinal stuff from him coming up too, and checking in with him what he's doing currently. So, with all that being said, let's send it to our interview. 2019 World Champion Matt Adams. Our guest today on Breaking Bats is Big City Matt Adams, the MLB veteran, has played for the Cardinals, Braves, Nationals, Rockies. Was part of the 2019 World Series champion Washington Nationals, which was just an incredible team. I can't wait to talk about that. And he is currently playing for the Kansas City Monarchs and is a fellow Pennsylvania native, a little more Western Pennsylvania than myself, I believe. But Matt, thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, guys, and just looking forward to talking shop here.
Yeah, I know. We were trying to get this going for a little bit here. Our schedules have been tough to match up, so I'm just excited to have you on and hear your stories, man. You got a great story coming from Slippery Rock University Division II and dominating there, and then being a really good big leaguer for a long time. And but I want to talk right now. How's Kansas City and how's independent ball going? I know when we were talking real quick before, you said that it's kind of helped you love the game again.
Yeah, it's at first I wasn't really sure what to think of it, but my wife does a really good job of keeping me grounded and really looking at the positives and trying to search out and find the positives in each opportunity. So after talking with her and Kansas City being so close to home, signed to come here and play, and just I couldn't imagine not doing this. The league is actually way better than what I was expecting. There's a lot of good players, both pitchers and position players here. And like you said, like I told you, it's allowed me to really find myself again and really put the business side of the game behind me and just go out on the field each and every day and enjoy being around, my teammates and going to battle and competing with, those guys again and really just, keeping it simple and having a blast doing it. So just really, really thankful for this year and the way it's gone so far. So looking forward to finishing strong.
That's awesome. Yeah, I had another buddy who he said the most fun he ever had playing was in independent ball because it was just like you said, it was just him playing baseball again, and he just loved it. And I know Kansas City always has good teams. I know we talked about Gabby Guerrero being one of your teammates over there. He retired, but I played with him in Louisville and Pensacola. Yeah, so I know Gabby well.
Yeah,
And
just
I
a bunch of good dudes that I think we might have the oldest team in independent league. We got a lot of veterans, but no, it's just it's a blast and it's fun to see like there's no egos. The egos are gone. Everybody's out here just playing the game that they love to play and having fun doing it with the same goal and same dream in mind of, trying to get back to the big leagues, trying to make it to the big leagues and keep their playing career going.
Yeah, there's definitely good players there because I've seen when I was looking, I recognized a ton of the names that were on the roster. I'm like, oh, I know that guy or whoever it is. And what league is that?
This is the American Association.
Okay, yeah. So that's a good league, and you go. That's all around the Midwest, right?
Yeah, all through the Midwest. Go to both Dakotas,
Dakota, yeah.
Nebraska, Iowa, uh, Illinois, and then Kansas City. So it's nice because I'm home base for me now is St. Louis. So it's nice. My wife can hop in the car and drive up. Whether we're in Illinois, Nebraska, we're close. So you can come make a lot of games and makes it nice to be able to see her too.
Yeah, that's definitely nice. But what about last question on this, and then we'll let JA get rolling here. How's the bus rides taking you back to the bus rides? You're a big
Oh,
dude. I don't know how you're fitting in those bus rides for that long time.
yeah, it's been 10 years since I've been on a bus ride. Uh, after games. Right now, what we're doing is we're leaving not even right after the games to go to the next city. We're leaving at like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning and hopping in a bus. And at least we got the futon sleeper bus,
Oh, there you
but
go.
most of the bus rides are anywhere from 6.5 to 8 hours. So it's a grind for sure. It took me back to the low A, double A, and even a little bit of triple A days. So, but it's nice. The guys, we got a little card game going on all the bus rides, so it takes our mind off of the how much longer we got, and we can just dive into that card game and keep it loose and have fun.
Yeah, the bus rides are they can be rough, but they can also be a whole lot of fun too. So
Exactly.
I ne- I never minded the bus rides, dude. I'm not a huge fan of flying, so
I'm right there
the
with you,
yeah the show flights are a little different. They're a little more relaxing and comfortable. But here in Japan, we fly commercial, and like last night, we flew it was like a 45-minute flight, and it was storming, and we're on one of them little planes, and I'm just like
bouncing all
curled
over the
up.
place.
Oh, dude, I can't take it. I don't know. I didn't never was like this. I don't know what changed, but all of a sudden I have like a slight fear of flying. So I would love to be on a 6 hour bus ride instead. I take the train. We take the bullet train if I can, but
Gotcha.
from where we were
Yeah.
last night, can't do it. But that's awesome. That's funny, man. I do miss the card games and the futon sleeper buses. Those are pretty good. I don't
It's
know.
it,
I don't know how. Go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't know how good you're fitting into one of those
Oh, bro.
futon
Uh,
sleepers.
Definitely I'm definitely I bring a body pillow with me because I got to curl up, so I have at least something to somewhat make it comfortable. But I definitely don't fit in them too well, and uh but I'm not in there too long because we the card games last for quite some time, so that makes it nice. And then check into the hotel and lay down in a bed, and I'm out cold.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that I'm sure that's how it goes. Jay, those things are made for you. They're not made for Matt. But uh that's awesome. I love it. Go ahead, Jay. Get us
Yeah,
going here.
I had a question about Kansas City. I mean, I was looking at your numbers. It looks like you're having a great season. I think you're an all-star in that league, and I looked. You put a home run up on your Instagram story the other day, and as soon as you hit it, the pitcher like hung his head. Like, have you found like a pretty good little groove over there so far this year?
Yeah, I would say my first 65, 70 at bats were a bit of a going through the ups and downs with it and grinding through it. But I found my groove and really feeling comfortable at the box. And I got good guys hitting in front of me and behind me, so it makes it nice and kind of takes the pressure off of me. I think early on I was trying to do too much because I felt like I had the most experience on the team, so I felt like guys were looking to me to try to lead that team. And I'm the type of guy that I try to put too much pressure on myself at times. And after having a few conversations with the guys, kind of took my mind off of it and allowed me to settle in and just go out there and do what I know that I'm capable of doing, and just having fun doing it.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely killing it. I want to take it back though. So you're a PA guy, Slippery Rock. Shout out! I have the Pittsburgh shirt on today in honor of that.
For
I
sure.
mean, you crushed the ball in Slippery Rock too. Like I think I looked, you're the all-time leader in batting average, slugging, and on base. Like, what was your lead up to the draft process like back in 09? And who were some of the teams that were interested? Like, take me back to that time in your life.
Yeah, so I really didn't get a lot of interaction with teams. It wasn't until like my sophomore summer I went away and played in the NECBL, uh, and had a really good summer up in Massachusetts, and came into my junior year in 09, and started getting some letters when I go into the field for practices and stuff. Coach Messer would have these letters sitting in my locker, and they would just be the questionnaires to, teams wanted to find out some information. And then after the season, went in and I think I did maybe 2 or 3 pre-draft workouts. I did one at Yankee Stadium, one down in Georgia for the Royals and the Braves. It was like a combined one, and then Citi Field with the Mets. And then those were New York, and both New York teams were the 2 teams that I really talked to the most. And then they told me draft day comes, and my agent tells me that I possibly going 7th to the 12th round, and then that day one's over, and sitting there watching the draft and stuff on my computer, and just got frustrated. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the Cardinals called, and like I never had any communication with them at all before the draft. So that was a bit of a shocking moment to have somebody from them reach out and give me an update, letting me know. I think they called in like the 21st round, and they said that if everything went smoothly the next couple rounds, that they were going to take me in the 23rd round. So ended up going in the 23rd round, and but yeah, it was a whirlwind because I'd never any communication with St. Louis at all. Kind of excited because I had, being from Central PA and going to school in Western PA, both New York teams were close, only about 3.5 hours from my hometown, from my parents. So that we were all super excited, but super grateful that the Cardinals took a chance on me in the 23rd round, and the rest is kind of history.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, like the Cardinals from an outside perspective always just seem to be like, and I've talked to Brian about this, just like one of the most solidly like well-built organizations out there. When you're coming up through the minors, like what do you think the Cardinals did so different and so much better than everybody else kind of developmentally?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think the biggest thing that I tell people all the time is they focus so much on like doing the little things right. Playing fundamental baseball, making the plays that needed to be made. If you made a great play, great. That was like extra. But they were really, really keen on doing the little things right, moving guys over, less than 2 outs, really putting together good ABs with runners in scoring position, less than 2 outs. Just that's what they hammered us on all the way, like through every level of the minor league system. Just showing up to the field and just really executing, playing fundamental baseball.
Yeah, no doubt. So when you were a young guy coming up through the minors, and even when you got to the big leagues, was there like a veteran that you looked to for leadership, or was there somebody that would kind of not take you under his wing, so to speak?
Yeah, John Jay and Daniel Descalzo and David Freese were like the 3 guys like that. In big league spring training camps, they were always like a year or 2 ahead of me. But we hung out mostly every night after the games in spring training, and just talked about the game. And them 3 really, once I got caught up and debuted, they took me out to dinner, showed me how to be a professional both on and off the field. So really, really grateful for those 3 players that were willing to do that to help me along.
Brian, in your case in Cincinnati, was there a few guys, maybe like a Joey Votto or somebody that kind of did what Matt was talking about, take you under their wing and just show you how to be a big leaguer?
Uh, yeah, there's a couple guys. I mean, I was actually I knew a lot of guys there by the time I got there already because by that point they were bringing up a lot of the younger guys. Phil Irvin. My locker was next to Tucker Barnhart and Kirk Casale, so those two guys were definitely people that I looked to a lot, and Jesse Winker. Even though Wink hadn't like fully established himself to the player that he is now at that time, but it was just there was more younger guys around there. Um, so I would say probably not to the level that Matt had with those guys who had been around, but definitely, you always get help from people. Guys are always good about that stuff. And if you ever had questions, Joey, if you ever asked Joey anything, he would talk to me for 15 minutes about it if I asked him something. But it's definitely an adjustment. And thankfully, there's guys who have been there longer than you that are willing to help and, try to have you get better so you can help the team.
That's incredible. So you mentioned David Freese. Was he the one that gave you the nickname of Big City?
No. Lance Berkman, I was actually one of my teammates asked this question last night on the bus ride home, asking me how I got the nickname. And no, Lance Berkman, I showed up to spring training in 2012. Maybe it was 11. It was 11 or 12. And he like came up and like put his arm around me and like told me that, I'm tired of big guys being nicknamed Big Country, so I'm gonna call you Big City. But I think like we all think that like he knew that like where like I was from in Pennsylvania like wasn't that big of a city. It was more of like a little town. Like there's only 1,000 people from like my hometown. So I think he just kind of threw a little wrinkle into it as a joke and for fun, and just called me Big City, and it just kind of stuck. And then 13 after Berkman was done, Freeze kept it rolling, and it just kind of stuck. And I'm thankful because I kind of really fell in love with Nick. I never really knew that I would have a nickname that would be kind of like not a statement, but like kind of like defined me as like a player. And having that is pretty cool. And to have Berkman be the guy that gave it to me is even cooler than that.
That's so cool. There was another nickname I saw on your Baseball Reference, and I think I vaguely remember hearing people use this, but can you explain Jumbo Pepsi to me?
Yeah. It's not one that I like, but it makes me chuckle every time, just because like back like coming up through like the minors and my first couple years with St. Louis, I was a big dude and like overweight, and like really didn't do the best job of taking care of my body and whatnot through the season. And I think they were the one day our on-field reporter Jim Hayes sent out a tweet asking people what nicknames they would give me, and one of the St. Louis fans responded with Jumbo Pepsi, and then that started like a whole group of people that liked that nickname. And yeah, that's one that is associated with me, but that's not one that I like to use. But it definitely gives me a good chuckle whenever that one gets brought up.
Hold on. When we first of all, going through the minors, especially back then, it's changed a lot now, but it was almost impossible to eat healthy anyway back then because you got no money and they're giving you nothing at the field. And you're
so
like,
it's
just
nothing but Taco Bell and
yeah.
McDonald's, places like that that's open after games. And it wasn't until Double A for us that we really like our clubby in Double A did a really good job of having food for us. But even then, it was a lot of like fast food places that were right around the stadium. So yeah, that's a great point. It was definitely not easy to eat healthy in the minor league. Sure.
Like looking it's changed so much. And looking back on it, like I don't even it's the same. Like, yeah, double A, I guess it started to change a little bit. And I think that's when they kind of like, at least for me, they made, the requirements that teams had to kind of give you good food and stuff, whatever, and it like it is now.
Yeah.
But before that, I like think I'm like, like, how did I even fucking eat? I don't even know. Like, what was I doing? It's like looking back on like short season and stuff, I'm like, how did this even work? And now, yeah, now they have to have it. But it's just funny to think back. It really was like PB and J, whatever random shit was around. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we had like I think more often than not, our lunch was PB and J's, and then post game food. Like if we didn't want to go through the drive through and get the dollar McDonald's or the Taco Bell, then we ate pasta that we heated up at the field. We had ramen, like it was the
Yeah.
cup noodle stuff that we made. So yeah, it was looking back on it, it definitely makes you laugh how really didn't care to take care of their players the way that they are doing. Like they're doing a better job, like you said, nowadays. But looking back, it was definitely not fun.
Yeah.
We talk about, you obviously stated that you were a bigger guy back in the day. You're obviously trimmed down since then, but I was reading about your Pilates regimen and just kind of like your workout routine that you did to kind of help you get to where you are today. Like, how did you get into all of that? And like, do you still keep up with that now?
Yeah, my wife was the one that got me into that. So she was actually she was working with the Cardinals in spring training of 16. They hired her and brought her on as like the Pilates instructor for the team, and like tried it out in spring training. And there was a group of us that every time they would bring her down, we were going and doing the workouts, whether it was before, like early in the morning before camp started, or sometimes we would wait till after the morning workout before the game, and we would get like a short one in then. But yeah, that was the 16 spring was whenever I realized that I needed to kind of make a change with my body, because I had some fluke injuries, and then like I tore my hip tendon off the bone in May of 15, and that was like the last straw when I was like, okay, like like if I keep going at this rate, my body is not going to hold up for me to have a career. So I just, with her being down there and like seeing she's got 20 plus years of working with professional athletes, and she's worked with all three St. Louis professional sports teams, and seeing the clientele that she had really sparked my interest in wanting to, come up with a program that put me in a healthier state to where my body would last throughout the season. And that off season in 16, just sat down with her and talked it over, and we came up with a plan, my workout schedule. She made meals for me. She cooked, she portioned out everything, and just got me on like just a total like change of scenery, and really just did a total reset and got me what my body needed, and figured out what my body was lacking. And but yeah, the Pilates was a huge help to where like I gained strength in areas that I didn't even know that I had, like the small little muscles that we like just every day that you don't realize that you need, like playing a sport. um so that, yeah, I still like we that off season we developed a 15-minute routine that I do like before, as like kind of like my pre-game warm up, uh leading up to game time. And yeah, I still do that same pre-game warm up to this day. And it's each day is a little bit different based on like how my body's feeling, and what I feel like my body needs that specific day. But yeah, she's really good at what she does. And we have a Pilates studio in our basement as we speak. So it just really fell in love with it. And we I can't speak enough of what that has done for, I wouldn't be where I am today without falling in love with Pilates and really trusting my wife on, what my body needs.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's when I read that article, and I was like, that's actually really, really cool. So I'm a Nationals fan. I live in Maryland, and I just have so many fond memories of that 2019 team that you were on. When you look back to that year and everything that happened, like, how do you remember it all?
Honestly, I remember when we got Para and Anibal Sanchez, and from that day forward, that was whenever we were, I think, 19-32. I mean, 51 games into it, we're 12 games below 500, and we bring on these two veterans that just reamped the clubhouse vibes and got us to really mesh as a group, and uh, just went on a hot streak for the last 110 or so games, and just kept it rolling through the playoffs. And it was just a fun group of guys that I don't think I'll ever have that much fun on a baseball field with again. Um, just the type of people that were on that team, the how not one single person on that team, both coaching staff and players, were like selfish. It was all like, what can I do to help this team keep rolling so that we can, try to make it deep into the playoffs. And we just fed off each other and just went out there and had a blast running through teams and beating teams that we weren't supposed to beat, and going into Dodger Stadium and knocking them off. And it was just a blast. And I have the chills right now just thinking about that year. That year, very, very special.
So what is I have a few. Well, what is your favorite non-World Series moment from that season?
From that season, probably hitting my 100th career homer.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Who was that
that
off of?
it was off. I think it was Tyon Guerrero from the Marlins. Guy throwing
He's
100 mile an hour, and
he's
just
wait.
uh,
Yeah, he's here. He's in Japan.
is he really?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah, that moment doing it at Nats Park with my mom and dad and my wife in the stands, that was a moment I'll remember forever.
That's awesome. Was it were you starting to feel, did you know, like when you're at 99 where you're like, shit, I need to hit this one?
Yeah, put a little pressure on myself.
Yeah.
Definitely, because more often than not, I never really, besides the 2014 year, like I never really had a full season of like everyday at bats. Like I was always the guy that was like coming off the bench, pinch hitting, and then like filling in for guys that needed a day off, or if somebody got injured, I would get my everyday at bats then. So like I knew that like I didn't know that like, oh yeah, I got 4 more at bats tomorrow. So like I put a lot of pressure on myself. I was like, okay, like I need one more. Like I don't know when it's coming, but I need it to come. And um, but yeah, very thankful that I got that one, and then that kind of weight was taken off my shoulders.
That's awesome. A lot of talk going on recently. Your former teammate Juan Soto traded to the Padres. What's your take on him as a player and on that trade quickly?
Yeah, I think I'm happy for him, because I like that guy deserves to be on like a team that wants to contend each and every year. Like he's a staple in any team's lineup. He's your 3 or 4 hole hitter that is going to go out there and put up the numbers that he puts up. And but the thing I tell everybody that asks me about Soto is, I think he's what, 23 years old,
Yeah.
or maybe still think he's 23. He's the oldest 23-year-old that I've ever met in my life. He's well beyond his years, and he is one of the nicest kids that I've ever come in contact with. Not even just in this in the game of baseball, but just every day. Like he just his heart is so big, and he cares for everybody else, and just loves playing the game. And he's a one of my favorite teammates that I've ever played with. So I'm happy that he got to a team where he's got a good chance of going into the playoffs and having a good chance of winning another World Series.
I'm sure our Padres listeners are going to be happy to hear all that. But another thing real quick for me, and I'll send it back to JA to finish these Nationals questions. But when you're when you're hitting, you're obviously in there to do some damage, get your walks and stuff. So what's your approach at the plate? Are you trying to hit home runs, or are you just taking nice easy swings and letting them come?
Yeah, that's a great question. I tell everybody, I'm the guy that if I try to go up there and hit homers, I'm going to go 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. So like less is more for me, and like that's a mantra that I use daily. As I'm walking up to the plate for my daily routine, or like for my pre-at-bat routine, telling myself just, less is more, keep it simple. I would say my approach is I'm always on a fastball. I always want to be on time for a fastball to drive that, back up the middle, hard back up the middle towards center field, and maybe even a touch to the left of center field. And that way, that keeps me on the off-speed pitches as well. It gives me that split second to where I can add that nice little pause to recognize that it's an off-speed pitch and try to, stay back and stay through the ball. But no, I'm always on time for a heater and take my nice, easy, effortless swing and drive through it.
Dude, you're literally like preaching to the choir. Like that's exactly what I try to. Effortless is the exact word that I use in my head. So that's cool. I like how you are a big dude who can hit it a long way, but your swing is super simple and short. Like it's not a ton of movement, and I just think that's awesome. So I was curious to hear about exactly what you're thinking. I love it. Easier said than done, for sure.
Right,
but
exactly. Yeah,
absolutely. But
no, I gave that whole like 17, like the off season of 16 going into 17. Like I tried the whole launch angle swing and creating all this movement to swing a bat. Like, and I tell everybody my first 16 at bats in spring training in 17, I went 0 for 17 with like 13 or 14 strikeouts, and I was like I cannot hit like this. So like after that 17th at bat, I went in the next day, and like I showed up like an hour and a half before like report time. So I got there like 5 a.m., met like one of the coaches there, and just started to get the work of trying to get back to that what I always did my whole life, and what I'm doing now is just taking, like you said, like taking that effortless swing and not having a whole lot of movement. Like that's just not me. Some guys it works for, but for us it's less is more. So I'm happy to hear that that's what you do as well.
That's so
definitely some you're giving me some good advice for right now too. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Nice.
You're really
bro.
doing it.
You mentioned Gerardo Parra earlier, and I just have to ask, like, when you first heard Baby Shark as his walk-up song, what was your take then? And then, like, as the season went along, did you get more into it? Were you doing the little like Baby Shark claps and everything else?
Oh yeah, we first, like his first at bat, everybody was like looking at each other in the dugout, and we're like, is this guy for real that he just put this as his walk-up song? But then like after the game, we found out that he went like it was like one of his daughter's favorite like cartoons and like her favorite song. So he asked her what she wanted his walk-up song to be, and she said the Baby Shark song. So that's what inspired that, and it started a whole on phenomenon, like not even just at Nats, like Nats Park. If we were on the road, we had people like behind our dugout in Dodger Stadium in the playoffs doing the baby shark when he went up to bat. Like it was unbelievable. And then he went over. He was in Japan, I think, last year, and he had it as his walk up. So he kept it as his walk up song over there, and it just like it. It's odd. Like the whole dugout was. I mean, some guys were doing this, but other guys doing like the full on like big like chomps, and it was awesome. Like everybody in the stadium fed off of it, and he's one of the best people ever. And for him to have that walk up song, it makes it that much like doesn't make it like goofy or whatnot. Like everybody was just like, that's Para. That's just who he is, and that was a spark plug that we needed, and it was awesome.
Yeah, it was. I've never had more fun at a stadium than when he's hitting and that's going off. And he just seems like the ultimate vibes guy too, with like the glasses and he's hugging everybody. Especially, I think Strasburg didn't like to be hugged. Him and Anibal Sanchez would just run over and bear hug him together.
Oh yeah, they got Strauss to come out of his shell in 19, and like the Para showed up when we were at home. He had this white scooter, and like as the year went on, he had like little baby shark uh like dolls on the handlebars of his scooter, and he would come in like full speed like through the clubhouse riding this electric scooter, and like he had a horn on it, and he would just like ride through honking the horn, and just like that's what we started our day off with, was Par riding through the clubhouse honking his horn with his white scooter with the baby sharks on it. And it like when you have a guy doing that, like whether he went 4 for 4 the night before or 0 for 4, like he did that every single day, and we just started the day off like in a positive, like happy place. And like that goes more than some people may imagine. But when you have a guy like that that's able to create that vibe and create that culture, it goes a long way.
That's fantastic. All right, I just have a couple more for you. Thank you so much for hopping on here tonight.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
when Daniel Hudson made the last out in the World Series in Houston, can you describe what it felt like to realize that you're a World Series champion?
It didn't feel like real. Like we were there, Para and me and our BP pitcher Ali Madami, who's now with the Angels. We were up in the hallway in Minute Maid in the cage, because like we were getting ready to pinch hit in case something happened. And all of a sudden, like we hear like a lot of boos, and like the feed was, Brian, you know this, like the feed in the clubhouse and like in the cages and stuff is like so delayed. So we're like, what the hell happened? And then all of a sudden it came on the TV that how he hit the go ahead homer off the foul pole. And so we put our bats down, we rushed down to the dugout, and we stayed down there. And like to see, it felt like that the bottom of the ninth inning took an hour and a half, because it felt like it was in slow motion the whole inning, because everybody was like so anxious and so excited that like we're like 3 outs away from being like champions. And that final out, that swing and miss, and like seeing him and Gomes hands up in the air, that everybody's chucking their gloves, everybody's running out of the dugout, like it it didn't feel real, and it still doesn't feel real. Like to say that like I was in that dugout, I was like celebrating on that field with like my brothers as champions, and like it was just such a special moment.
I love that. And then, and then the parade and the Caps game after, it just seems like that was like a nonstop like week long party you guys had.
Yeah, it was the plane ride back was epic. I think we sang "We Are the Champions" the last like hour and a half of the plane ride. We had our families on there, and then we landed in DC to probably shoot at least 10,000 fans at the airport, like greeting us like outside of the tarmac, like as the buses drove away. And yeah, and then use like the Caps games, like being introduced and being down there celebrating with them. They celebrated with us a year before when they won the Stanley Cup, so that was a pretty cool moment. And then I have pictures on my phone of like when we came around Pennsylvania Avenue, like to see like how packed that place was, and people hanging from trees, people like cars like backed up like the on ramps to the highway, like people standing on top of their cars, like it, and then like every building down Pennsylvania Avenue had at least 5 or 6 snipers on the rooftop to like make sure that like everything like stayed in check, and like that was like just seeing everything that was unfolding that day like was really really cool, and definitely something that I'm glad that I have on tape that I can go back and watch with my family over and over and over again.
I love that, dude. All right, last question for me is, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
To I would say that I got it from multiple coaches, both in pro ball and in college, was to have fun playing this game like it's going to be your last game ever. So you put that uniform on, don't take it for granted that you're going to be able to put it on tomorrow, and to go out on that field and leave everything out there and just have fun doing it. That's something that stuck with me from a younger age, and something that I live by to this day. So I would say that definitely has to take the cake there.
That's awesome, man. I love it. Matt, this has been phenomenal, dude. It was so fun to hear about all that little hitting advice in there too. That the World Series, man, watching it, that whole thing was just electric. I can't when you were telling those stories, I had chills too. The Kendrick home run was amazing. Just cool to hear your perspective on all that. And man, thanks again for coming on. We really appreciate it. Wish you the best of luck the rest of the way here, and stay healthy. And man, we'll maybe one day get you back on here, talk about some more.
Exactly, bro. Anytime. I appreciate you guys wanting to bring me on. I love talking about the game. Love talking about just everything that goes on. Both on and off the field that some people don't realize, and it's not all the glamorous, like lifestyle. Like you gotta. It's a grind for sure. Even at the big league level, it's still a grind. So I love that you guys wanted me to come on and share some of the stories. So wish you nothing but the best. Hope you finish the season strong over there, and best of luck in your career, and hopefully one day our paths will cross, and maybe even be able to play on the same team together.
I would love that. That would be really cool. Appreciate it, man.
All right, guys.
Have a great day, and thank you again.
It's great meeting you, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
Take
much.
care. Nice to meet you as well.